Well, today we have Dr. Rob Brooks here with us, and we have a few questions for Dr. Rob Brooks in terms of the Honeybee protection slash sustainability program that he has been doing with the city of Lawrence. So, Dr. Brooks, can you tell us how did the program get started and how did you get involved?
Well, I have worked with bees since I was 8 years old, had hives almost all my life. I'm 70 now, and I was so interested in bees that I went ahead and got a PhD in entomology, and my specialty was bees. That's what my thesis was. And I published about 50 papers on bees and written 3 books. Last 10 years, bees have been in great distress. I think most people realize that every third bite that we eat, if it's not a grain, is from a pollinated food source. And the main pollinator in the world is honeybees. They're generalists, they go to all kinds of plants, and with them we would have almost no vegetables, no fruits. And as I said, these bees are in great distress. Locally, here in Douglas County, Kansas, and throughout the United States and worldwide, many bees, most colonies do not overwinter. They die for a variety of reasons. And so I noticed in town that, and most towns have ordinances now where they allow homeowners to have beehives within the city limits. And what happens when these beehives swarm? The swarms leave, they go into a tree hole, or they usually go into a house. What happens when they're in a house? Homeowners have 2 options: kill them or remove them. Removal is very expensive. Generally, they have them exterminated. Most homeowners do not want to do that.
Right.
So I wanted to do a program where I put out these boxes that were very attractive, and the swarm would choose to go into the box rather than to a hole in the house, and then relocate them into a hive where they'd be taken care of. And I started last year. Now the program I presented to the city Parks and Recs advisory board 9-0 loved the idea, and so I've been working hand in hand in all the city parks. There's 52 parks in the city. I got 16 hives, 16 parks that are now being monitored.
I see. And then how long did this program get implemented from inception and planning?
Well, it starts about May 1st. That's when swarming starts.
Okay.
And our MOA, or Memorandum of Understanding, is that I keep the traps up to August 5th, though I may extend that through the month of August. So that's what we call the swarming season.
I see.
That's how bees naturally reproduce. The old queen leaves about half the bees, and the old hive, a young virgin queen will hatch out, be mated, and continue the original location hive.
I see. So up to this point, how many swarms have been caught so far?
The 16 parks, we've caught 13 of the parks have caught swarms.
Okay.
3 of the parks have caught more than 1.
I see.
So it's somewhere around, I've caught 17, 18 swarms since May 1st.
Okay. And then roughly how many bees have been saved?
Okay, that's interesting because I actually weigh the bees before I put the trap hive up empty when it comes down. And it's about 90 pounds of bees. Now that is, if you want to convert that, about 455,000 bees.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't seem like 500,000 bees, doesn't seem like much, but that's enough bees to pollinate about 100 acres of almonds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so those are in town, so they're not pollinating crops, but they are getting their nectar mainly from people who plant flowers in their gardens. So one of the things I had talked to the city about is why don't we plant bee-friendly plants, perennials, and trees. Trees are actually a better source of nectar and pollen than plants are.
And how does the city respond?
Oh, they loved it.
They loved it.
Because right now there's the ash trees are dying from the ash emerald borer. Some oaks are being attacked by oak fungus. Almost all of the Scots pines are dying from oak fungus. So there are trees that have vulnerabilities, but there are bee-friendly trees that have no enemies that we know of, and they thrive. And one of the best tree of that is the basswood, the linden. And so I said, why don't we start planting linden trees? Well, why not?
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is such a, this is simply a really good initiative that you and the city started. What do you think the next stage is for the program after the swarm season ends?
I'm going to apply for an SRE grant. That's an FDA grant for sustainability in agriculture. And I want to develop a website, a program with slides, videos that would bring the program. Now it's in Lawrence. I'd like to bring it to Topeka and perhaps other metroplexes that are Kansas City, Olathe. Most city councils are very much into sustainability, and this is one of the big things that gives you grant approval when you're putting money for a variety of things is sustainability check mark. Now, everyone's doing composting, everyone's doing recycling. So that's kind of ho-hum when you put that down. But there's no one in the United States that have programs to save honeybees. There are not there's not a single city that I am aware of, and I'm well read in the literature. So this is going to be a brand new thing.
Right. Do you see a possibility for this to extend to the whole nation?
Oh yeah, that's what, well, of course I'm 70, but I'm mentoring people that are younger than I, especially to help me with the heavy lifting. And my vision is to make it accessible to communities, and through the website they can get training and how to get started, because really it's very little in terms of money outlay. It's very little. Though the price of lumber is very, very high now, and that's one of the big things is building these traps.
Right.
But once they're built, it can be used for 10, 20, 30 years if they're built well. They just reuse it. In fact, the trap is better and better because it smells like bees. So there are several secrets to make these traps so attractive that they want to go into the box rather than into a tree hole. And it took me about 10 years to learn those secrets.
I see. 10
so
years.
now I'm about 95% successful with the traps I put up and getting the bee. I pretty well say if I put a trap up, you're going to get bees in here probably within a week.
That's impressive. So the last question is, what can people do? Like, just us layperson, right? What can we do to help sustain honeybee population?
Well, to people that like to garden, that's an easy thing. Is plants that bees are really like are the mint family, sunflower family. So all your daisy, sunflower, well, those types of flowers. The mints have a lot of different kinds of species of mints. These are important, especially they're fall blooming. In the Midwest, there's a dearth of nectar and pollen starting about now. And then there's a small bloom in the fall. Well, if you can find plants that bloom during this time of the dearth, and mints will do that. So planting plants, okay? And then if you have bees come into your houses, don't poison them.
Right.
Try to find someone that will take them out. And unfortunately, it's not cheap to have bees taken out of your houses. I'm going to be taking one out today. Most pesticide control operators they don't want to poison the bees.
Right.
And I've actually talked to all the ones locally. So they prefer to take them out, but there's only one that will take them out of about 10 that I've called. Most of them won't accept the project. So what does the homeowner do? They go buy a can of wasp and hornet spray and they spray it in the hole themselves. And what did that cost? $3 for the can? And I've talked to people, this is what they've done. So, well, I understand.
But that's killing those bees.
Yeah, I know, but the bees may be near a main entrance, and it's definitely could be a threat, especially if you got small children.
Right.
So So we can plant forage for them. When we find them, we can relocate them to a place that they can sustain.
Like where? Where would be the places?
What I'm thinking about as part of this program is having a website in the cities where they can, probably most cities have this. You can call a dispatcher, but they don't have any training on the staff, City Parks and Recs, to how to deal with the bees. Part of the program will be training somebody. And that's where I want to get money from the SARS grant.
I see.
Is to give people training that's paid for by the government. And now the city employee will have very little equipment to do this. And maybe the city themselves can start apiaries and put them into their prairie reserves or their botanical parks, the hives that they sustain. There's always a place that you can put a honeybee hive and someone's happy about getting it.
Right. So what does that training program get started? Will you be the one leading the training?
Well, I will be for a while. We'll see if my health's good. So, like I say, it's my idea. But there's lots of people that are very interested in bees. That would be, especially people that are at home, that might very much like to be outside working with honeybees rather than doing something indoors, which may not be as exciting. Maybe let's put it that way.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Brooks, for your time. Is there anything else you would like to share with us regarding this program?
I guess I couldn't say enough how much of a dire threat our bees are in with pesticides, with the farming practices that get rid of all the white-side flowers, and the cities, the least along the city highways, they're mowing all these bands of flowers along the roads that they could let go up and maybe not mow so often, providing pollinator resources. If you look in the Midwest, what you see is corn and soybeans, all monoculture, nothing good for honeybees.
Right.
So there are things that we could do, and maybe initiatives we could take as a voter to make sure that our cities are not spraying, killing out all the dandelions. Maybe in the golf courses, I can understand that. See, City of Lawrence does not kill. They don't put broadleaves out. Only at places where, like, maintained greens and golf courses, and also at the cemetery.
Okay.
But besides that, all the other parts are not treated with any chemicals at all, which is great.
Yes, that's right.
Not all cities do that.
Right, correct.
So.
Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Brooks, for sharing your knowledge and this wonderful program with us. Here at Meta, we work with Dr. Brooks to help save honeybees in the city of Lawrence. Thank you.